Betrayed by blood. Why your family rejects you. The shocking truth revealed. Stoicism. What if I told you that the people meant to love you the most are sometimes the ones who hurt you the deepest? Family is supposed to be a source of love and support, yet for many it becomes a source of pain and rejection. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, you'll never be enough for them? That their approval is always out of reach? You're not alone. But here's the truth. Your worth is not defined by their acceptance. So how do you break free from the pain of family rejection? How can modern Stoicism help you find peace and self-worth without their validation? Today on Stoic in Your Life, we'll uncover Stoic secrets to help you reclaim your independence and happiness. If you've ever felt the weight of family expectations, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. Now let's get started. Why your family rejects you. Number 1. Unrealistic expectations. Family rejection cuts deeper than most wounds because it comes from those who are supposed to love you unconditionally. But often, it's not really about you, it's about the unrealistic expectations placed upon you before you even had the chance to define yourself. Families create a vision of who you should be, your career, values, and even your personality, without considering your true desires. And when you deviate from that mold, whether by making choices they disapprove of or simply by being yourself, you become a disappointment in their eyes. That rejection feels like betrayal, a painful reminder that their love may have always been conditional. But here's the truth. Their expectations are built on their own fears, insecurities, and unfulfilled dreams, not your reality. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." You are not here to live someone else's definition of success. The moment you realize this, their rejection becomes a form of liberation rather than a curse. It's easy to believe that if you just tried harder, if you just met their demands, maybe then they would love and accept you fully. But that's an illusion. No amount of conformity will ever be enough because their expectations are not about your happiness, they're about control. Seneca reminds us, if you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. The more you chase their approval, the more you lose yourself. Have you ever asked yourself, what do I truly want? Who am I beyond their expectations? These are the questions that lead to self-discovery. Modern Stoicism teaches us that suffering doesn't come from rejection itself, but from the way we perceive it. What if, instead of seeing rejection as proof of your inadequacy, you saw it as proof of your courage? The courage to stand alone, the courage to be different. Of course, the pain of family rejection is real. There will be moments of doubt, moments when you long for the acceptance that always seemed just out of reach. But is belonging worth the price of self-betrayal? Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." You can't control how your family sees you, but you can control how much power you give to their opinions. Instead of mourning the love that came with conditions, embrace the unconditional love you can give yourself. You do not need their validation to be whole. So what now? What do you do when your own family turns away from you? You choose to live. You choose to thrive. You rewrite the story they tried to impose on you. Modern Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions or pretending you don't feel the pain. It's about transforming pain into wisdom, rejection into strength, and expectations into self-awareness. You are not alone in this. Many before you have walked this same path and emerged stronger, freer, and more at peace. Family is not just those who share your DNA. It's the people who truly see you, accept you, and love you for who you are. The question is, will you keep chasing what was never meant for you, or will you finally step into the life that is truly yours? Number 2. Fear of change. Fear of change is one of the deepest reasons behind family rejection, and it often has little to do with you personally. Families, like all groups, cling to traditions and values passed down through generations, equating stability with safety. When you make choices that challenge their worldview, whether it's adopting a different philosophy, pursuing an unconventional career, or moving away, it threatens their sense of normalcy. Their rejection is less about you and more about their fear of losing control. As Seneca wisely said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Your growth forces them to confront discomfort, and instead of adapting, they resist. If you step outside the script they've written for you, they may respond with criticism or distance, not because you are wrong, but because they fear what your change represents. This happens often. Families that take pride in tradition react harshly when one member breaks away. A son leaves the family business to follow his passion and is called ungrateful. A daughter defies cultural norms and becomes the black sheep. Not because they have done anything wrong, but because their choices make the family question the old ways they've clung to for so long. Marcus Aurelius said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." But to those who fear it, change feels like destruction rather than growth. The irony is that the independence they resist so fiercely is a natural and necessary part of life. This fear often disguises itself as love, concern, or obligation. They claim they only want what's best for you, but whose definition of best are they following? Yours or theirs? The truth is, the path they push on you is what makes them comfortable, not necessarily what makes you happy. Epictetus reminds us, if you wish to improve, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. To grow, you must be willing to be misunderstood, even by those closest to you. So what can you do? First, recognize that their rejection is not a reflection of your worth but of their limitations. Second, stand firm in your journey, knowing that change is inevitable and resistance means you are moving forward. You cannot force them to accept you, but you can refuse to be held back by their fears. This is one of the Stoic secrets. Understanding that you don't control others' opinions, only your response to them. If your growth threatens their sense of stability, that is their battle, not yours. In modern life, many struggle between family expectations and authenticity, but staying true to yourself is the only way to real fulfillment. As you walk your own path, some will fall away, but those who truly love you will return, not to who you were, but to the person you are becoming. Number 3. Guilt and control. Guilt is one of the most subtle yet powerful tools of control, especially within families. When you step outside the expectations set for you, whether in your career, beliefs, or personal choices, guilt becomes the weapon used to pull you back in line. It often disguises itself as love, wrapped in phrases like, "We only want what's best for you," or "You're breaking our hearts." But beneath these words lies a deeper, unspoken demand. Your individuality threatens our comfort. It is not concern but control, an emotional burden meant to make you feel responsible for their disappointment. True love does not come with conditions, yet conditional love is what many of us experience. Epictetus wisely said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. The moment you recognize that their disappointment is theirs to carry, not yours, you take back the power they once held over you." Modern Stoicism teaches that true freedom comes from within, not from seeking the approval of others. Yet how often do we sacrifice our happiness for the illusion of family harmony? The guilt imposed on you is not about morality, it is about power. When you challenge the status quo, those who have benefited from your obedience will resist. They will make you question yourself. Am I selfish? Am I ungrateful? But here's the truth. Your purpose in life is not to fulfill someone else's expectations, but to follow your own reason and virtue. If guilt, fear, and obligation dominate your thoughts, you are not living for yourself. You are living as a prisoner to the will of others. Your life belongs to you and no one else. Yet breaking free from this cycle is not easy. The guilt runs deep, planted over years, even decades. Family is meant to be a place of love and acceptance, so when rejection comes, it cuts deeper than anything else. But you must ask yourself, are they truly rejecting you, or are they rejecting the fact that they can no longer control you? If love is withdrawn the moment you assert your own path, was it ever truly love? Seneca once wrote, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." How much of your life have you lost waiting for their approval? And what if that approval never comes? Will you keep carrying this guilt, or will you finally set it down and walk forward without it? To break free, you must redefine love and obligation. Love should not require conformity, and obligation should not mean submission. You do not exist to make others comfortable at the expense of your own soul. The world will not reward you for betraying yourself to please others. If you seek peace, seek it within. The Stoics taught that true tranquility comes from aligning your actions with your values, regardless of external judgment. If your family rejects you for being who you are, then let them. Their rejection is simply their inability to accept what they cannot control. But your self-acceptance, that is where your power lies. And in that power, you will find something far greater than their approval. You will find freedom. You've just explored a powerful truth about guilt and control, one of the deepest struggles when breaking free from family expectations. If today's discussion has resonated with you, let us know by commenting "Breaking Free" below. Your engagement helps us understand what topics truly matter to you. Are you ready to continue uncovering the deeper Stoic wisdom that can set you free? Let's move on to the next transformative insight. Number 4. Insecurity and envy. I know how painful it can be to feel rejected by the very people who are supposed to love and support you. Family rejection is one of the deepest wounds a person can experience because it challenges the very foundation of belonging and security. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself why this happens? Why would those who share your blood turn away from you, not out of misunderstanding but out of something even darker? Envy and insecurity. The truth is, when you rise, when you dare to step beyond the boundaries that others have quietly accepted, it forces them to look in the mirror. And often they don't like what they see. Your success, your growth, your independence, these are not just personal victories. They are silent reminders to those around you of what they have not done, what they have not achieved, and what they may never dare to attempt. This is where resentment is born. It starts small, disguised as passive-aggressive remarks, dismissive attitudes, or cold indifference. But over time it festers into outright rejection. It's not that they hate you, it's that they can't bear what you represent. Have you ever noticed how some people are supportive when you struggle but distant when you thrive? That's because your struggles make them feel superior, but your success makes them feel small. Imagine a man named Daniel. He grew up in a family where mediocrity was the norm. No one dared to dream beyond their neighborhood, their 9-to-5 jobs, or their predictable routines. But Daniel was different. He worked hard, took risks, and eventually built a life that most of his family never even imagined possible. He thought they'd be proud, but instead he found himself the target of their resentment. His accomplishments were met with sarcasm, his generosity with suspicion, and his presence with discomfort. Why? Because every time they saw him, they were reminded of what they had settled for. It wasn't that he had betrayed them. It was that he had betrayed their unspoken agreement to stay the same. The greatest Stoic secrets teach us that external validation is fleeting and unreliable. You cannot control how others react to you, only how you respond to them. When your growth makes others insecure, that is not your burden to carry. You do not need to shrink yourself to make others feel comfortable. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Your journey will be met with resistance, but that is proof you are on the right path. The question is, will you let their rejection define you, or will you rise above it? The key is understanding that their rejection says more about them than it does about you. True strength comes from detaching yourself from their opinions and walking your path with unwavering purpose. Remember, a lion does not concern itself with the opinions of sheep. When you realize this, you free yourself from the need for approval, and in that freedom you find peace. So ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice your growth to make others feel secure? Or will you embrace the discomfort of outgrowing those who refuse to grow with you? The choice is yours. Number 5. Facing the truth. Facing the truth that your family may never fully accept you is one of the hardest realities to confront. You've spent years trying to prove yourself, striving to be good enough, meeting expectations that were never truly yours. But here's what I need you to understand. Their rejection does not define your worth. It reveals their limitations. Their inability to accept you is not about you. It's about their fears, their beliefs, and their unresolved wounds. People often reject what they cannot understand. And the more you embrace your authentic self, the more you may disrupt the fragile world they've created. If you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your own integrity, said Epictetus. And isn't that the truth? The more you twist yourself to fit their vision, the further you drift from who you were meant to be. I know it feels like a betrayal. Family is supposed to love you unconditionally, but what if their love was always conditional? What if their approval was never for you, but for the version of you that made them comfortable? Think about how much of your life has been spent seeking validation from those who never truly saw you. You shape your choices, your career, your lifestyle, even your personality, to align with their expectations. But what happens when the real you no longer fits their mold? That's when rejection comes. And I ask you this, was their love ever real if it depended on your compliance? It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor, Seneca reminds us. Those who withhold love because you do not mirror them are the truly impoverished, poor in understanding, poor in emotional maturity, poor in their ability to love without control. Accepting that your family may never change does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop waiting for them to become someone they are not. This acceptance is painful, but it is also liberating. You are no longer trapped in the cycle of trying to earn love that should have been given freely. Imagine the weight lifted when you stop seeking approval from those who will never grant it. Imagine the freedom of living for yourself, not their expectations. There is grief in this realization, the mourning of the family dynamic you always wished for. But grief is not a cage, it is a passage. And through it, you find something greater. Self-acceptance, peace, and a life that is fully yours. So who are you beyond their expectations? Who would you be if you stopped trying to fit into their definition of success? Modern Stoicism teaches us that suffering comes not from external circumstances, but from our attachment to them. What if, instead of longing for their acceptance, you redirected that energy into becoming the person you were meant to be? Because the truth is, their rejection may hurt, but your self-betrayal would be far worse. You do not need their validation to be whole. You do not need their approval to be worthy. So what now? Do you keep fighting for something that may never come, or do you finally choose yourself? Modern Stoicism forces us to ask this question. We cannot control how others perceive us, but we can control how much of our peace we sacrifice for their acceptance. Maybe it's time to stop chasing conditional love and start embracing the life that is yours. Maybe the real betrayal was never their rejection, but the years you spent rejecting yourself just to be enough for them. So now the choice is yours. Will you keep waiting, or will you finally set yourself free? Number 6. Family love and acceptance. Family love is often portrayed as unconditional, an unbreakable bond that endures through all circumstances. Yet for many, this ideal remains just that, an illusion. More often than not, love within families comes with unspoken conditions, silent rules that dictate acceptance only if you conform to expectations. The moment you deviate, whether it's through your beliefs, career choices, or personal values, the warmth of family approval can turn ice cold. I know how painful it is to realize that the very people who should love you without reservation may only do so when you fit their mold. This creates a deep internal conflict because we are conditioned to believe that family is synonymous with unwavering support. But the truth is, for many, love is extended only when it aligns with their terms. As Seneca wisely put it, "He who is brave is free." And sometimes bravery means walking away from relationships that demand you shrink yourself to be accepted. There comes a time when you must ask yourself, do I live for their approval, or do I live for my own truth? For years, you may have sought validation from family members who never truly saw you, waiting for them to embrace your choices, only to be met with criticism or indifference. But what if the acceptance you're chasing was never yours to gain? The harsh reality is that some people, even those bound to you by blood, may never be capable of loving you for who you are, and that's not a reflection of your worth. It's a limitation of their own hearts. The great Stoic Epictetus reminds us, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Meaning, if being your true self makes others uncomfortable, let it be so. Their rejection does not define you, your response to it does. The real transformation begins when you stop waiting for approval that will never come. You reclaim your power the moment you decide that your own self-acceptance matters more than their fleeting validation. In modern life, this truth is especially evident. People remain trapped in toxic family dynamics out of obligation, guilt, or fear of loneliness, sacrificing their happiness for the illusion of belonging. But here's one of the Stoic secrets. True belonging is not found in places where you must beg for acceptance. It is found in relationships built on mutual respect, not control. When you release the need to be understood by those who refuse to see you, you create space for genuine connections, ones where love is not a weapon, but a sanctuary. Does this mean you must cut off family entirely? Not necessarily, but it does mean redefining what family means to you. Sometimes family is chosen, not inherited. It is the people who support you, who uplift you without conditions, who do not demand that you betray yourself for their comfort. Letting go of the need for conditional love is not an act of bitterness. It is an act of liberation. And when you step into this freedom, you will find that the weight of unmet expectations no longer burdens you. You will stand tall, knowing that the love you truly need is the one you give to yourself. So choose thoughts that affirm your worth, and let those who cannot embrace you as you are fall away, because in the end, the greatest love story you will ever experience is the one where you finally accept yourself. You've made it this far into the video, and that tells me something important. You are committed to your growth and self-acceptance. I want to take a moment to congratulate you for having the courage to question old beliefs and embrace the idea that true love and belonging are not always found where we expect them to be. Now I humbly ask for a small favor. Leave a comment below because your engagement helps this channel reach more people who need this message. If you're unsure what to say, just type, "Self-acceptance is power," so I know you've made it to this point. Your journey matters, and I'm honored to be part of it. Family can be a source of unconditional love, but it can also be where we experience our deepest wounds. The reasons behind family rejection, unrealistic expectations, fear of change, guilt, control, insecurity, and envy stem from complex psychological and social conflicts. Recognizing these reasons is the first step toward finding peace. The truth may be painful, but facing it is the only way to move forward and grow. Being rejected by your family doesn't mean you are unworthy of love and acceptance. If one door closes, remember that others are waiting to be opened. Happiness isn't just found in blood relations, it's within you and the connections you choose to build. Moving beyond family, finding true acceptance. What do you do when the people closest to you turn their backs on you? You could suffer in pain and resentment, or you could choose a different path, a path of freedom, self-acceptance, and a life built on your own terms. In this section, we'll explore how to rise above family rejection and find true belonging, starting with yourself. Keep watching, because the answers ahead might just change your life. Number 1. Breaking free from family expectations. Breaking free from family expectations is one of the hardest yet most essential steps toward self-discovery. From childhood, we are molded by societal and family ideals, taught what success should look like, which paths are acceptable, and how to bring honor to the family name. For years, we comply, believing that their approval defines our worth. But as we grow, we feel the weight of those expectations pressing down, suffocating our true desires. Living by someone else's blueprint means sacrificing our authenticity. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If we live by the dictates of others, we are not free. We are prisoners of their expectations. True freedom begins when we recognize that we have both the power and the right to define our own path, even if it means disappointing those who raised us. Yet, stepping away from family expectations is not easy. Guilt and fear whisper that choosing ourselves is selfish. We are told we are ungrateful, abandoning tradition, or failing those who love us. But love should not come at the cost of obedience. If your worth in your family's eyes depends on how well you follow their script, they do not value you. They value the version of you that fits their design. Breaking free does not mean severing ties. It means reclaiming your right to live on your own terms. Modern Stoicism teaches that inner peace should not be dictated by others' expectations. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. If your happiness depends on family approval, you will always be at their mercy. But if you trust your own judgment, no, rejection can shake your foundation. Think of the person who dreams of traveling the world, but their family insists it's reckless. They are labeled irresponsible, told they are throwing their life away. Yet, deep down, they know abandoning their dream for approval will lead to resentment. Years later, they may wake up filled with regret, realizing they built a life out of obligation, not passion. This is the quiet tragedy so many face, living not for themselves, but for others' comfort. And what do they gain? Temporary validation, fleeting praise, and a lifetime of knowing they betrayed their own soul. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." To truly live is to break free from these chains, walk your own path unapologetically, and understand that self-respect is far more valuable than blind obedience. Still, the fear of rejection is real. Family is supposed to offer unconditional love, so when they disapprove, it feels like betrayal. But ask yourself, if their love is conditional on your compliance, is it truly unconditional? Choosing your own path will upset some, and some may even cut you off. But in that moment of rejection, you will find something invaluable: clarity. You will see who truly loves you for who you are, not for the role you play in their narrative. Modern Stoicism reminds us that external validation is fleeting, but inner peace is lasting. If you live in fear of disapproval, you will never know true freedom. And if you sacrifice yourself to fit in, you will never become the person you were meant to be. The choice is clear: live bound by others' expectations, or break free and embrace the life that is truly yours. Number 2, the power of self-acceptance. I know how easy it is to crave acceptance from others, especially from those closest to you. But here's the truth: before you can ever expect the world to embrace you, you must first embrace yourself. Self-acceptance is the foundation of happiness, resilience, and true emotional freedom. Without it, you'll always be at the mercy of other people's opinions, chasing approval like a leaf in the wind, never feeling settled, never feeling enough. Have you ever wondered why some people seem unshaken by criticism, rejection, or even failure? It's because they have built an unshakable sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on the approval of others. This is one of the most powerful Stoic secrets, learning to define yourself rather than allowing the world to do it for you. But this isn't easy. It requires deep introspection and the courage to confront the parts of yourself you've been running from. The truth is, many of us were conditioned to believe that our worth is tied to how others see us. Maybe your family made you feel like you had to be a certain way to be loved, or maybe society convinced you that you needed to achieve a certain status to be valuable. But real self-acceptance means breaking free from these illusions and realizing that you are already enough, just as you are. Imagine a woman named Lisa who always felt she needed to prove herself. No matter how much she accomplished, she never felt like it was enough for her family. They dismissed her achievements, compared her to others, and made her feel like she was always falling short. It wasn't until she stopped seeking their validation that she truly found peace. She realized that her worth wasn't determined by their approval, but by how she saw herself. This realization changed everything. She stopped bending over backward to please those who would never be satisfied, and instead focused on living a life that made her happy. Can you relate? Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, it's never enough for certain people? The question you must ask yourself is this: are you living for their approval, or are you living for yourself? Because the hard truth is, no amount of external validation will ever be enough if you haven't accepted yourself first. True self-acceptance means realizing that your worth isn't something to be negotiated with others. It is something you claim for yourself. When you reach this level of understanding, the opinions of others lose their power over you. You stop fearing rejection because you no longer depend on acceptance. This is the key to freedom, to peace, and to a life where you are in control. So ask yourself, what parts of yourself have you been rejecting? What would happen if you finally decided to embrace all that you are without apology? The answer to that question could change your life. Number 3, finding your true tribe. Finding your true tribe is one of the most freeing experiences in life. Family isn't just about blood, it's about connection, about those who truly see you and stand by your side. Have you ever felt like your own family doesn't understand you? That their love feels conditional, tied to their expectations? You're not alone. Many spend years trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for them, chasing approval from those who may never give it. But real belonging isn't something you earn, it's something you discover. Democritus said, "The wise man belongs to all countries, for the home of a great soul is the whole world." Your real family is not just the one you were born into, but the one you build. People who embrace your individuality and love you not because they have to, but because they choose to. Think about it. Who in your life accepts you as you are? Who encourages rather than criticizes you? Who makes you feel valued, safe, and understood? These are your people. Real family doesn't impose expectations on you. They celebrate your journey, even when it looks different from theirs. They don't demand that you fit their idea of success. They empower you to define it for yourself. When you stop seeking approval from those who won't give it and start embracing those who do, everything changes. Modern Stoicism teaches us that happiness is not dictated by the family we are born into, but by how we respond to our circumstances. Do we keep chasing love in places where it's denied, or do we embrace those who freely offer it? One of the Stoic secrets is understanding that peace isn't found in forcing others to change, but in choosing where we invest our energy. Recognizing that you are not bound by the expectations of those who don't truly see you is incredibly freeing. You don't have to carry their disappointment or shrink yourself to fit into a space that was never meant for you. Instead, you can create a life surrounded by those who share your values, dreams, and spirit. Maybe it's a mentor who believes in you when your family doubts you, a friend who listens without judgment, or a partner who loves you for your authenticity. These relationships prove that family is about belonging, not just blood. John Donne once wrote, "No man is an island. You are not meant to go through life feeling like an outsider in your own family. There are people out there who will embrace you. You just have to be open to finding them. But I know this isn't easy. It hurts to accept that those who were supposed to love you unconditionally may never do so in the way you need. You may grieve the family you wished for, the acceptance you always longed for. But is it worth staying in a space where you are merely tolerated when you could be somewhere you are celebrated? If you had the choice between constantly fighting to be understood and simply being understood, which would you choose? Life gives you that choice. You can hold on to relationships that diminish you, or you can embrace those that empower you. One of the Stoic secrets is realizing that you are not powerless. You can choose who you surround yourself with. The moment you stop seeking belonging in the wrong places, you create space for the right people to enter your life. So what will you do? Will you keep chasing acceptance from those who refuse to give it? Or will you turn toward the people who truly see you? Your tribe is out there waiting. Are you ready to find them? Number 4. The role of boundaries in self-love. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep others out, but gates designed to protect your peace, your dignity, and your emotional well-being. Without them, relationships, especially within families, can become draining, manipulative, and even toxic, leaving you feeling powerless and unworthy. You have the right to say no without guilt, to refuse behaviors that diminish your self-respect, and to demand the respect that every human being deserves. Too often, family members assume entitlement over your time, emotions, or choices, believing that blood ties justify their overreach. But family, at its core, should be a source of support, not control. Seneca reminds us, you must live for yourself first before you can live for others. And that means recognizing that your well-being is just as important as anyone else's. When you set boundaries, you're not being selfish. You're engaging in self-care, ensuring that your relationships are built on mutual respect, not unspoken obligations. Yet enforcing boundaries with family can be difficult, especially when guilt, tradition, or fear of rejection cloud your judgment. You may be met with resistance, with accusations that you've changed or that you're being difficult. But growth is supposed to change you. You are not obligated to tolerate hurtful behaviors just because they come from people you share a last name with. If a family member consistently belittles your choices, dismisses your feelings, or manipulates you through guilt, it is within your right to say, "I will not tolerate this." And if they continue, that's where the real test of self-respect begins, because boundaries without enforcement are meaningless. Epictetus wisely said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." In other words, your inner peace is your responsibility. Allowing toxic interactions to persist only drains you, leaving no space for the relationships that actually nourish your soul. This lesson is especially relevant in modern life, where many people feel trapped by family obligations, forced into roles they never agreed to play. The expectation to endure mistreatment in the name of keeping the peace is an illusion, because real peace does not come from allowing yourself to be disrespected. It comes from knowing that your value is not determined by how much you endure, but by how firmly you stand in your own worth. One of the Stoic secrets is understanding that you cannot control how others respond to your boundaries, only that you uphold them with consistency and dignity. Some may walk away, some may fight against the changes, but in time, those who truly respect you will adjust, and those who never did will reveal themselves. Your responsibility is not to convince others to honor your limits, it is to refuse to betray yourself for their comfort. When you prioritize your well-being, something incredible happens. Your relationships become more genuine. Instead of being based on guilt or fear, they are built on mutual respect. Instead of feeling drained after interactions, you feel at peace. This is the power of boundaries. They filter out those who wish to control you and strengthen the connections that are truly meant to last. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And those thoughts should include the belief that you deserve love, respect, and space to grow without interference. Protect your peace, hold your boundaries, and let those who cannot respect them make their own choice, because you have already made yours. You've made it this far because you're committed to self-respect and living with purpose. Now let's take it further. Leave a comment with "I stand firm in my worth" to show that you're embracing the power of boundaries and choosing self-love over obligation. Your growth is undeniable, and stronger lessons are on the way. Stay connected. Number 5. Healing from rejection. Healing from rejection, especially when it comes from family, is one of the deepest and most personal journeys you will ever take. The pain of being cast aside by those who were supposed to love you unconditionally can linger like an open wound. But true healing begins when you recognize that their rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of their limitations. People fear what they do not understand, and when you grow beyond the expectations they set for you, some will see it as a betrayal rather than personal evolution. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Their inability to accept you as you are does not mean you are unworthy of love or respect. It simply means that they cannot see beyond their own fears and expectations. And once you accept that, their opinions lose the power to define you. Modern Stoicism teaches us that the key to emotional freedom lies in controlling our responses, not in seeking validation from those who refuse to give it. But let's be honest, accepting this truth does not immediately erase the pain. Healing is not a straight path. It is a process of learning to sit with the discomfort, acknowledge the hurt, and still choose to move forward. You must allow yourself to grieve, not just the loss of a relationship, but the loss of the illusion you once held. That family would always be there, that they would always understand. Seneca wisely wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And while the pain of rejection is real, the fear of being unloved, unworthy, or alone is often a creation of the mind. When you stop replaying their words, stop defining yourself by their judgment, you begin to realize that you are not broken. You are simply free from a love that was never truly unconditional. A major part of healing is choosing to let go of resentment. Because resentment keeps you chained to the very people who hurt you. When you hold on to anger, you give them continued control over your emotions, long after they've stopped thinking about you. But releasing resentment is not the same as forgetting or excusing what happened. It is a conscious decision to prioritize your peace over the need for justice or validation. Forgiveness then becomes a powerful tool, not for them, but for you. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You do not need to hear an apology to move on. You do not need them to change in order to heal. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past, but about refusing to let the past dictate your future. Healing from family rejection also means realizing that you no longer need their approval to feel whole. There comes a moment when you stop looking back, stop waiting for them to understand, and start embracing the life that is in front of you. This moment is where true freedom begins. It is when you realize that your self-worth is not tied to their acceptance, that your happiness is not dependent on their validation. You may never receive the love or recognition you once longed for, but what you gain instead is something far more valuable: self-acceptance. Modern Stoicism reminds us that we are responsible for our own peace, and that peace is found not in trying to change others, but in mastering ourselves. When you finally let go of the weight of rejection, you step into a new reality, one where you are free to define your own worth, free to build relationships that uplift you, and free to live without the invisible chains of family expectations. And in that freedom, you will find healing. Number 6. Embracing your authentic self. I know how tempting it can be to shape yourself into what others expect, to mold your personality, your dreams, even your happiness, just to fit into the space your family has carved out for you. But the truth is, living that way is a slow betrayal of your own soul. One of the greatest Stoic secrets is this: the more you suppress who you truly are, the more restless and unfulfilled you will become. Embracing your authentic self means choosing to live by your own values regardless of whether others approve. It means shedding the weight of expectations and standing firm in your truth, even when it feels uncomfortable. But here's the hard part. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most will be the ones who resist your authenticity the most. Have you ever noticed that when you start being true to yourself, some people pull away? That's because your authenticity challenges their idea of who you should be. It forces them to question whether they too have been living a life that isn't truly theirs. Imagine a man named Jacob. All his life, he followed the script his family laid out for him, got the degree they wanted, took the stable job they approved of, and even stayed in a relationship that looked good on the outside but felt hollow inside. But deep down, he knew he was living for them, not for himself. One day he made the terrifying choice to walk away from it all. He left the career he hated, ended the relationship that drained him, and started pursuing a life that truly aligned with his heart. And what happened? His family didn't celebrate him. They resented him. They saw his choices as a rejection of their values, when in reality he was simply choosing to honor his own. Have you ever felt this way? Like being yourself meant losing the approval of those you love? The challenge is that authenticity often comes with loss. But what's the alternative? Living a life where you constantly pretend, just to keep others comfortable? That's not living, it's surviving. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Be content with what you are, and wish not to change, nor dread your last day, nor long for it." True freedom begins the moment you stop seeking permission to be yourself. And here's the most beautiful part. When you fully embrace who you are, you start attracting the right people. The ones who see you, respect you, and love you for who you truly are, not who they want you to be. This is the power of authenticity. It filters out those who were never meant to walk with you and strengthens the bonds that matter. The question is, are you ready to stop living for others and start living for yourself? Because once you take that step, there's no going back. And that's a good thing. Number 7. The importance of building your own life. Building your own life free from the weight of family expectations is one of the most important and liberating choices you can make. Too many people live their lives according to what others expect, choosing careers, relationships, and paths that align with their family's vision rather than their own. But whose life are you really living if every decision you make is to satisfy someone else? This is the harsh truth. If you don't take control of your life, someone else will. "A man cannot be comfortable without his own approval," said Mark Twain. And this rings true. Real fulfillment comes not from pleasing others, but from honoring yourself. It's not easy to step away from the expectations placed upon you, especially when they come from the people who raised you. You may feel guilt, fear, or even loneliness in the beginning. But ask yourself, what is the greater burden? The discomfort of choosing your own path, or the lifelong regret of never having lived on your own terms? I know how difficult it is to break free from the mold your family has created for you. You may have been told from a young age what success looks like, who you should become, and what kind of life you should build. Maybe your parents dreamed of you being a doctor, lawyer, or business executive, but deep down, your passion lies elsewhere. Maybe they expect you to live a certain way, follow a certain tradition, or even stay in a place where you no longer feel you belong. And when you deviate from that script, the judgment, disappointment, and even rejection can feel unbearable. But whose happiness matters more in the end, yours or theirs? Modern Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control how others react to our choices. We can only control whether we live in alignment with our own truth. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live, said Marcus Aurelius. The question is, are you truly living, or merely existing within the framework someone else designed for you? Building your own life means taking ownership of your decisions and choosing a future that reflects who you really are. It's about creating a life that feels right in your heart, not one dictated by guilt or the need to conform. This journey will not be easy. Anything worth having rarely is. But imagine the freedom of waking up every day knowing that the life you're living is yours, that your choices are driven by passion and purpose, not by fear of disapproval. Imagine leaving behind a career chosen for you and finally pursuing the work that excites you, or stepping away from a relationship that was expected of you but never truly made you happy. These choices take courage, but courage is the foundation of self-respect. When you stop living for external approval, you start building a life that is meaningful, a life that belongs to you. Of course, there will be challenges. People may not understand your choices and some may never approve. But remember this: their disappointment is not your failure. Their disapproval is not your downfall. In time, those who truly love you will either accept your path or reveal that their love was conditional all along. And as painful as that realization may be, it is also a gift. It frees you from seeking acceptance in places it was never meant to be found. Modern Stoicism reminds us that suffering is not in the circumstances, but in our resistance to them. When you let go of the need for validation, you step into a life that is truly yours. So, what will you do? Will you continue walking a path laid out for you by others, or will you take the bold step toward the life you actually want? The choice is yours. But remember this: no one else can live your life for you. The question is, will you claim it? Number 8. The peace of letting go. Letting go of toxic family relationships is not an act of cruelty or abandonment. It is an act of self-preservation. Too often we cling to connections that drain us, hoping that one day things will change, that love will override dysfunction, that time will heal wounds left untreated. But the truth is, holding on to relationships that continually bring pain does not mend them. It prolongs your suffering. You may have spent years walking on eggshells, hoping for approval that never comes, enduring hurtful words disguised as concern, or sacrificing your own peace just to keep the family intact. But at what cost? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you surround yourself with constant negativity, with those who belittle or manipulate you, you begin to internalize their treatment as your worth. Letting go does not mean you stop loving them. It means you stop allowing their presence to harm you. It means recognizing that love should not be synonymous with suffering. The most difficult part is accepting that some relationships cannot be repaired. There comes a moment when you realize that no amount of effort will change those who refuse to change themselves. You can explain your pain, set your boundaries, and extend endless chances, But if their behavior remains the same, you must ask yourself, am I staying out of love or out of fear? Fear of guilt, of judgment, of loneliness? But is it not lonelier to remain unseen and unheard in relationships that constantly diminish you? This is where the true test of strength begins. Choosing to step away, not because you want to, but because you must. As Epictetus wisely said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And you cannot control how others treat you. You can only control what you tolerate. Walking away does not mean you wish them harm, nor does it mean you forget the good times, but it does mean you refuse to be shackled by unhealthy patterns any longer. In modern life, this truth is painfully relevant. Many people stay in toxic family dynamics out of obligation, burdened by the expectation that family bonds must be upheld at all costs. But at what expense? Is your mental health worth the constant emotional turmoil? Is your self-worth negotiable? One of the Stoic secrets is understanding that true peace comes not from enduring toxicity, but from releasing it. When you stop seeking validation from those who will never give it, you make space for people who appreciate and respect you. Cutting ties does not make you ungrateful or selfish. It makes you courageous enough to choose yourself. It is one of the most radical acts of self-love, allowing you to step into a life where you are not constantly defending yourself, but simply existing as you are, without fear or constraint. Letting go is not easy. It will hurt. There will be days when you second-guess yourself, when nostalgia whispers that maybe things weren't so bad, when guilt creeps in because society tells us that family should always come first. But what if you came first? What if your peace was just as important as the relationship you are fighting to maintain? As Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." And this is your test. To stand firm in your decision, to trust that the emptiness left behind will soon be filled with something far greater, a sense of self-worth that no longer depends on external approval. The peace of letting go is not just about cutting ties. It is about reclaiming your life, your energy, and your right to be happy. The people meant to be in your life will respect you, not require you to suffer for their acceptance. Choose yourself, because in the end, the only person you must live with every day is you. If you've made it this far in the video, I encourage you to comment "True Freedom" below. This is a great way to show that you're absorbing the deep lessons of Stoicism and understanding the value of letting go of what no longer serves you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life, so you don't miss content that helps you grow stronger on your Stoic journey. Number 9. Rebuilding family. Love, respect, and unbreakable bonds. Rebuilding family is not about forcing broken relationships to mend, nor is it about waiting endlessly for acceptance from those who refuse to give it. It is about recognizing that family is not defined by blood but by love, respect, and the unwavering presence of those who truly see and support you. Sometimes, the deepest connections we form in life are not with those we share a lineage with, but with those who choose to stand beside us through every storm. The ones who uplift you without conditions, who embrace you for who you are, rather than who they expect you to be. These people are your true family. Seneca once said, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." And that is what real family is. A bond rooted in mutual understanding where love is not a transaction, but a gift freely given. As you move forward, you must shift your focus from chasing approval from those who reject you to cultivating relationships with those who genuinely cherish you. Many struggle with the guilt of letting go of family ties, fearing that choosing a different path is an act of betrayal. But the true betrayal is sacrificing your peace for the sake of a connection that only causes you pain. Modern Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control how others perceive us, nor can we force them to love us the way we need. If your thoughts are consumed by resentment, longing, and the need for validation from those who withhold it, you will remain trapped in a cycle of pain. But if you redirect that energy toward building meaningful relationships with people who respect and accept you, you will find that family is not lost, it is simply redefined. The people who choose to stand beside you through life's trials, who celebrate your victories without jealousy and support you without expectation, these are the ones who truly matter. The power of chosen family is undeniable. You have likely seen or even experienced friendships that run deeper than any sibling bond, mentors who provide more wisdom than any parent, and communities that offer more warmth and security than the household you were born into. It is within these connections that you realize love is not something you must earn. It is something that flows naturally when surrounded by the right people. The bonds we build by choice are often stronger than those we inherit, because they are built on sincerity, not obligation. Epictetus taught, "Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations no matter what is going on around you." When you apply this wisdom, you stop looking backward, waiting for family to change, and start embracing the relationships that enrich your life in the present. Rebuilding family is about taking control of your own emotional well-being, surrounding yourself with people who align with your values, and refusing to let the pain of rejection define your future. The idea that only blood relatives can provide love and security is an outdated belief that has caused generations of suffering. Modern Stoicism reminds us that the people we allow into our lives shape our thoughts, emotions, and ultimately, our peace. If those born into your life cannot love you unconditionally, it is your right and your responsibility to find those who will. You are not alone, nor are you abandoned. You are simply in the process of discovering the family that was meant for you. And when you do, you will realize that the love, respect, and unwavering support you've always longed for was never dependent on blood. It was waiting for you to claim it in the people who truly care. Rejection, no matter how painful, does not define you. It reveals the strength you have to stand alone. Modern Stoicism teaches us that true freedom comes when you stop seeking approval from those who cannot accept your growth. One of the greatest Stoic secrets is this: your worth is not determined by family expectations, but by the life you choose to create. Let go of those who diminish you and surround yourself with people who truly see and value you. Your path is yours alone. Walk it with confidence. If this message resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos. Your journey to strength and self-acceptance starts now.